I kicked my mentally unstable sister out of my home for violating my only boundary, so she and her boyfriend started stalking me, making my life miserable for years. When my sister Karen became homeless at 18, I took her in and soon realized it was a mistake. She never cleaned up after herself, leaving dirty dishes piled up, and her boyfriend Ken made suggestive and unwanted comments at me when she wasn't around. I was already at my breaking point, and then during a catch-up with friends, one of them asked if I was sleeping with Ken as he had spread a rumor that I was trying to. When I heard this, I snapped. I went home and demanded an explanation because I was completely done with everything they had been putting me through. They didn't deny it. Ken even said Karen had said it was fine, and I was doing them a solid as her sister since he had a fantasy he wanted to pursue. I told them both they were disgusting and that Ken had to leave, or I would call the cops. Ken left with some insults sent my way, and Karen began telling me she didn't see the problem since my partner and I were on a break. We were not. I told her I was not hers to sell around like property, and that she had 2 weeks to find a place of her own. I was done with her. I called all my relatives, sent them copies of the text messages I was given, and no one in our family wanted anything to do with Karen. She moved in with Ken a few days later. It took me some effort, but I was able to get a restraining order for Ken, though I couldn't get one for Karen. Still, they disappeared from my radar except for a few encounters, which were easily solved by showing I was about to call 911. Then today happened, and I had to hold back my laughter. My other sister Mary had kept tabs on Karen since sisters and all, and she messaged me with a notice, "Hey, Karen just called me. She's pregnant, and Ken kicked her out." I just stared for a few minutes and responded, "Oh, that's sad." Mary knew and supported that I don't care or have any intentions to help. Karen used Mary's phone to call me. She begged me to help since Mary is only letting her stay for a week before she moves to another state. She said she missed her sister and had no one else to go to. But she knows I have family health insurance, and that I could do something like that for her pregnancy medical bills. This baby is a blessing, and I should want to help her raise it, meaning I pay for everything. I let her pour her heart out for a good 5 to 7 minutes, then said, "Nope." I ended the call. She tried calling again for a while, then stopped when I got a text message from Mary saying she had left her phone on the counter, and she was sorry for the spamming. Most of my family agrees with me, even Karen's mom. The only one that disapproves is Karen's aunt. She's been putting pressure on me most of the day. She only stopped when I told her one more message and I would show her text messages to my stepfather, who is her landlord. Update 1: Mary called me this morning to have brunch and discuss things related to Karen. She told me she understood I don't want to be part of the mix, but she really wanted it to be discussed, and after, I can just walk out. Mary is the peacekeeper of my siblings. I agreed on the condition that there was no way Karen would come home with me. Mary just said, "If she tries to follow you, I'll drag her out myself." So I dressed up and off I went to brunch with my sisters. I'll skip the pleasantries and dumb friendly family look. Karen attempted once we were done eating and just having coffee. Mary set all the cards on the table. She explained she couldn't take Karen with her out of state, because she's getting married to her longtime girlfriend, and they can only afford a 1-bedroom in her new city. But she also said Karen was insane if she thought Mary would allow her to live with me. Even if she had the power to make me take Karen back in, Karen was lucky she even let her stay with her for these last few days. She told her the only reason we were doing this was because her mother, we all have the same dad, but different mothers, had begged her to at least put Karen somewhere safe or find a solution for the pregnancy. So she turned to me and asked me, as the most stable economically, if there was anything I would be willing to help with. I basically said I would only give money for 3 things: 1, a termination and a hotel room while she heals from it; 2, a ticket back to our home country so she can live with her mother or aunt and get free healthcare; 3, a ticket to our eldest brother's home country so she can live with him because I know he will take her. I also said she had the option to put the baby up for adoption, but I would not be offering her a place to stay or a way to get medical care out of my pocket. I gave her some links to nonprofits she could use. Karen started crying, saying I was trying to take away her baby and being a bad sister, that a good sister would open up her home and help care for her baby, that I never deserved to have the money I have. Most of my money is from inheritance on my mother's side of the family, so not sure how she would have gotten anything, that I was spoiled by my mother because she had money. We did because after our father left my mother and me with nothing, she made a company from scratch. She kept babbling and making a scene. Then she said something that actually hurt me: "You are just mad because you will never get pregnant." Yes, I happen to be infertile. Mary knew this was a low blow for me and basically told Karen, "One more stupid word like that and you'll be sleeping in the street tonight." I didn't cry or anything, just stared. Karen stopped her crying, muttering, and seemed to get an idea. She looked at me straight and told me to adopt her baby. I laughed at that. I told her she was insane if she thought I would adopt her baby. I don't want her in my life, let alone her ex. I was about to go off on Karen just for even thinking I would consider that as an option, but Mary stopped me on time. She simply said to Karen, "You have the options she gave you. You can get a termination or go back to the home country. Either way, you can't stay here. You are not legal, and your immigration status affects us. If you were to live with us, I could lose my job and she could lose her resident status. You have until next Friday to choose. If none of these options work, you will have to find your own solution without us. I don't want you anywhere near my sister. You are lucky, I have an empty room for 1 more week for you to crash in. But after that, I don't want to see you in person. We can keep in touch by Facebook or phone. You've lost the right to spend time in person with either of us." I just stared at Mary. She's very quiet and normally the most reserved of us, so this was not expected. Mary paid, didn't even wait for the change, and left Karen with enough to get a taxi home. Mary grabbed me by the arm and took me out. I didn't know how much I needed someone to just protect me for a change, but I did cry a little on the way out from just pure relief. I had one sister that still looked out for me. We decided to go for ice cream afterward, like we did as kids when bad things happened, and discussed our plans to spend holidays and vacations together. Mary's girlfriend also joined us for ice cream, and the whole time she just made jokes about how sad she's going to be without her moving table. Update 2: Karen had until tomorrow to choose between terminating her pregnancy or leaving the country. Well, Karen chose none. She decided to make life so difficult. She is now arrested and more than likely will be deported. On Tuesday, Mary decided to visit a nearby national park before moving too far to drive there. She left Karen with a key and some money, which was a big mistake. Mary and her girlfriend returned yesterday to find all the locks changed in their house. To make matters worse, Karen's supposed ex, had moved in. The police were called, and it was a major mess. Karen and Ken claimed it was their house, but Mary and her girlfriend kept telling them it wasn't. The house had been sold, and the new family was moving in on Sunday. The police officers, tired of the situation, asked everyone for their IDs. Ken, Mary, and Mary's girlfriend had their IDs. Karen only had an expired passport. Karen was arrested on immigration charges, and Ken was arrested for breaking and entering. Yesterday, I got a call about Karen. Her lawyer said she was claiming to be my surrogate, and that the baby she was carrying was mine. I told the lawyer I wasn't looking for a surrogate or adopting a child, and that Karen got pregnant accidentally with Ken. He asked if I would foster her baby since it would technically be American. I said absolutely not. He tried to work things out, explaining that Karen would likely be deported otherwise. I told him if that's the law, then so be it, and asked him not to contact me about her anymore. As far as I'm concerned, her only family is in our home country now. My sister and I plan to have no contact with Karen. I don't know what will happen to Karen, nor do I care anymore. Not even our aunt in our home country wants anything to do with her, and even apologized to Mary and me. As for Ken, who knows? I hope he goes to jail, but if he doesn't, I couldn't care less. I now feel like a massive boulder has been lifted off my shoulders. Today I heard that Karen was offered the chance to leave the US willingly without facing negative effects on her status. She called my mom to convince me to give her the money for the ticket. Mary and I agreed to pay for it on the condition she never contacts either of us again. Her mom is aware of this and said Karen must find a job within a month or be in the streets. My immigration lawyer said the surrogate plot would only work with a DNA match or a contract, neither of which exists, so I'm safe. Mary booked Karen's trip back for Friday, and good riddance. Update 3: I almost made it a month without hearing from my half-sister Karen, but it wasn't to be. Karen left the country, and things were calm for a bit. Then she started calling my mother at all hours for money, or to ask how to contact me. Eventually my mom blocked her. Karen got to me through a school friend, sending a 16-page list of demands or threatening to sue me. One demand was to get rid of my foster daughter so I could adopt her baby. Another was an apartment I shared with my cousins left to us by our maternal grandmother, $500,000, my dog, and my cat. I needed to get her back into the US. There was more, all completely delusional. I sent a copy to my lawyer to pursue a no-contact order in the US. I forwarded another copy to our relatives, including our eldest brother. He said he would take care of it. Karen's ex was recently released and has already caused problems for others, but is keeping away from me. Karen isn't penniless. We divided a $150,000 inheritance in equal parts, and she got money from her stepfather. She's actually well off. I never charged rent because I knew the tuition price was high and didn't want her to take a loan. Update 4: Ken has started stalking me, following me, calling from random numbers, and even trying to enter my place when I wasn't there. I stayed elsewhere for safety until I moved out of the state. This morning I decided to buy a new PC for my partner as a Christmas present. We love video games, but his computer is old, so I decided to surprise him with a nice desktop. When I was still drinking my coffee, I got a call from customer service saying a man claiming to be my husband was trying to pick up my order. It was Ken. I told them I wasn't married and would pick it up later. They asked me to come to resolve it as they check IDs. I changed my name less than a year ago to remove my biological father's name, and Ken didn't know this. When I arrived, Ken was yelling at a rep, waving an ID. After explaining to store security, I spoke with the manager, who knew my old name but it didn't match the system. Ken yelled, calling me every insult, and tried to throw a tape dispenser. The staff stopped him. I didn't engage and only asked him to let me speak. He said I owed him and was entitled to my stuff since I took his house, which I didn't. He left when the store called the police. The store pressed charges, but he was only trespassed from the building. I got my PC, and a security guard escorted me to my vehicle. My partner and I exchanged cars for safety. I'm planning to leave this weekend to celebrate the holidays with family Karen doesn't know. Update 5: I moved to a safer town away from Ken. I received an email from a relative in my birth country saying Karen was in urgent care. She injured herself on purpose, and when released, she would be arrested. She is bound for prison, looking at 10 to 20 years, and will have to represent herself. I offered to pay for a termination, and she did this. She lost all support and affection from the family. I sent a letter to her mother saying Karen is no family to me. She was released and sent to jail. My uncle called, saying Karen got all charges dropped except for a minor charge related to making a fake police report. She has no money left and no family support. She tried contacting my parents for my new number, but they refused. At work, I was called to a video conference for breaking the company's social behavior policies. Someone created an OnlyFans profile under my name with inappropriate content. It was obvious the person wasn't me. HR tried to paint it as reflecting poorly on the company, but the boss said it was stupid and to let it be. I sent it to our eldest brother, who said he would take care of it. Update 7: I saw Karen in real life. I went to my home country to tie up loose ends and took my adoptive daughter to see her birth family. At the hotel, I was called to the lobby for a relative refusing to leave. It was Karen. She tried to hug me, but I asked her to leave. She screamed for money, saying her life was a mess. The hotel staff threatened to cancel my reservation, but I reminded them they called me, and I wanted nothing to do with her. She said she would stalk outside the hotel until I gave her $10,000 or a property I was selling. I called the police, and they moved me to another hotel. Karen is now working as an adult worker and claims the property I'm selling is hers. She tried to find the paperwork in my relative's house, but I didn't leave it there. Update 8: Karen took her own life. She left a note blaming me for everything. Her real name was Jasmine. Despite everything, I have fond childhood memories. Mary and I went to our home country to check on the situation and ensure she had a proper burial. Many family members, including Jasmine's mother, refused to come. We paid for a simple service and quick burial. We found she left over $25,000 in bills for Mary and me to pay. In our home country, debts are passed to the closest relatives. We decided to take it over. We found many missing items from our childhood and personal belongings being sold online.